I came home early from a trip I never actually took, and there he was, in his front yard, red-faced, sweating, yanking the pull cord on his lawnmower like his life depended on it. Because 5 minutes earlier, he had stolen from me again. And this time, what he stole wasn't gas. If you've ever had someone cross your boundaries, steal from you, and assume you were too weak or too dumb to notice, you're going to love this story. Hit that like button, subscribe for more Reddit revenge stories, and buckle up, because this is one of the most satisfying cases of karma you'll hear today. This all started with something small. Too small to immediately notice. Too small to accuse someone over. A 5-gallon gas can. I kept it in my backyard for my lawnmower. Nothing fancy, just a red plastic can, filled every so often so I could mow the lawn without thinking about it. But over time, something fell off. Every time I went to mow, the can was almost empty. And that didn't make sense. My mower had a tiny tank, maybe a quart. Even after a full mow, there should have been plenty of gas left. At first, I blamed myself. Maybe I misremembered how much I filled it. Maybe it evaporated. Maybe I used more than I thought. But the pattern kept repeating. Fill the can. Wait a few days. Go to mow. Nearly empty. That uneasy feeling started creeping in. The one you get when you realize something isn't right, but you don't yet have proof. And then a darker thought landed. What if someone's stealing it? I looked around my backyard. No signs of forced entry. No broken fences. Nothing disturbed. But then I thought about my neighbor. The guy next door was the problem. Always loud. Always rude. The type who cut corners, ignored rules, and acted like the world owed him something. The type who'd absolutely help himself to your stuff if he thought he could get away with it. Still, I didn't want to accuse him without proof. So I did what any fed-up, slightly paranoid person would do back before cheap security cameras were everywhere. I set a trap. I took my old laptop, set it up by a window, and installed some basic motion detection webcam software. It wasn't fancy. It barely worked, but it was enough. The very first day I tested it, I left the house. 5 minutes later, motion alert. I checked the footage. There he was, clear as day, walking into my backyard like he owned the place, picking up my gas can, pouring it into his car and then into his lawnmower. And then this part really got me, putting the empty can back exactly where it was. Like he thought he was clever. Like I'd never notice. I remember just staring at the screen. My jaw clenched. My stomach tightened. It wasn't even about the gas anymore. It was the disrespect, the audacity, the assumption that I was stupid enough not to notice, or weak enough not to do anything about it. For a split second, I considered confronting him, marching over, showing him the footage, calling him out. But then I realized something. Guys like him don't feel shame. They feel entitlement. And if I confronted him, he'd deny it, laugh it off, or worse, double down. No. If I was going to handle this, it had to be permanent and memorable. That's when I got an idea. A disgusting idea. An idea that made me smile. For the next week, every time I had to pee, I peed into that gas can. Not all at once. Slowly. Patiently. I made sure there was still just enough gas smell left to fool an idiot. And then I put it back exactly where it always sat. Then came the performance. I waited for a day when I knew he was watching. I went outside, checked the fluids in my car, packed a couple of bags. I made sure he noticed. I casually mentioned, loud enough for him to hear, that I'd be going out of town for a while. A nice long trip. Left the gas can right there on the patio. Bait set. I drove off, circled the block, and came back home about an hour later. Car trouble, I told myself with a grin. And that's when I saw him, in his front yard, yanking the pull cord on his lawnmower like he was trying to start a chainsaw with pure rage. His face was turning purple, sweat pouring down, cursing loudly. Pull, pull, pull. Nothing. I leaned against my car, pretending to fiddle with something, watching the show. A few minutes later, he stormed off, jumped into his car, and peeled out of the driveway. I went inside, waited. About 10 minutes later, I heard it. A car sputtering, coughing, then silence. I looked down the street. His car had died just a couple blocks away. I walked calmly to my back patio, checked the gas can. Empty. Completely empty. I don't think I've ever felt such pure, quiet satisfaction.
No yelling. No confrontation. No mess.
Just consequences. But the story doesn't end there. Because, as it turns out, this guy was a massive piece of trash in every aspect of his life. I later found out he had active arrest warrants. So I did one last thing. I applied for sheriff's ride-along program in his name. And let's just say, the authorities finally came knocking. Watching his lawnmower fail was funny. Watching his car die was better. But knowing that his own behavior, his own arrogance, led to everything collapsing around him, that was priceless. No shouting match.
No threats.
Just karma delivered cold. He never stole from me again. In fact, he didn't live there much longer after that. Some people mistake kindness for weakness. They think if you don't react, you don't notice. But sometimes the quiet ones are just patient. And karma doesn't need to rush. If this story made you smile, hit that like button. Subscribe for more deeply satisfying Reddit revenge stories.